Okay, now I'm on 3.3 notes, and in 3.3 notes, I'm going to be doing proofs. And so example 1 says, prove that L and M are parallel. That's what that symbol means. It looks like an 11. It means prove that this line and this line are parallel. Now, if I want to prove that those two lines are parallel, that means they're not telling me the lines are parallel. I don't see that little red arrow here and that little red arrow there saying these lines are parallel. So the way that I would know these lines are parallel if one of four things was happening. If corresponding angles were congruent, if alternate interior angles were congruent, if alternate exterior angles were congruent, and then if same side interior angles were supplementary. So that's going back in our notes to 3.1. If those biconditional statements are true, then that would mean it would work in either direction, like the lines would be parallel using that biconditional statement. Okay, so let's read on. Given that the measure of angle 4 equals 2x plus 10. So 2x plus 10, measure of angle 4, that's going to be right here in my picture. And then the measure of angle 8 is 3x minus 55. So the measure of angle 8 is right there. Oh, and then x equals 55. First of all, looking at those two blue angles, I know those angles are corresponding. And the biconditional statement says that corresponding angles are congruent if and only if those two lines are parallel. So if corresponding angles are congruent, that would tell us that those lines were parallel, which is what I'm trying to do. But first things first, let's state our givens. So our givens are right here. And so I'm just going to copy and paste my givens. And of course, I'm going to write given. But then I'm going to zoom in a little bit because I want to say the measure of angle 4 equals 2 times 65. They've told me that x equals 65, so I'm just going to plug that in, and then plus 10. And so what I'm doing is what I said, plugging in, and that's called substitution. Okay, so going back to the measure of angle 4, 2 times 65 is 130, plus 10 is 140, so that would mean the measure of angle 4 is 140. And then the measure of angle 8 is 3 times 65 minus 55. Let's see, 3 times 65 would be 195 minus 55, which would give me 140. Okay, and if the measure of angle 8 is 140 and the measure of angle 4 is 140, that means the measure of angle 4 is equal to the measure of angle 8. And so all I did there was I substituted again. Okay, now if those angles, so those are corresponding angles, if corresponding angles are congruent, so congruent means their measures are equal, then that means the lines are parallel. So that means L, line L, is parallel to M. And that's because we have corresponding angles are congruent. And our biconditional statement said that if corresponding angles are congruent, then that means lines are parallel.